Oh, it's me, Valen Hark. I've just been in a deep meditation. I've been in a trance since the last time we did the last episode, and I was immediately awoken right now by Hoss00312 following the channel. Thank you, Hoss. We could have been here for another 2 or 3 years. Sometimes I do this. You know, it's something I gotta do to get in the mood to teach you Japanese. That said, shall we get started? Okay, good. Hit the music, computer. Thanks. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do vocabulary first, as always. And then what are we going to do? We're going to hit up some more Wasei Eigo. It's just oodles of fun. And until we know all the vocab for Chapter 2, we're not moving on to Chapter 2. That's how we do it. We memorize the vocab, we learn how to write, read it, understand it, before we go and practice with it, okay? So whip out your notebook, whip out your pen or pencil or whatever you are choosing to use. We're starting off with desk. And what do? First we sound it out. We got our 3 hiragana. Tsukue. Tsukue. But would we say tsukue? No, because that would sound unnatural in Japanese. It's more like tsukue. Tsukue. So if we have tsukue, tsukue, it's more like tsukue, right? When you have a U in between 2 consonants like this, you tend to, depending on the word, but most words, you tend to kind of shorten it or speed it up or something, you know. So tsukue is how we would say desk. And how would we write it? We always go to Jisho to check how to write. Now, don't we? Because we want to follow the correct stroke order, and as always, it's right there above the advertisement for the best cosmetics you can get for 980 yen. Don't click the ad, click the kanji, and then click the little animation to see it go. All right, top left to bottom right. You know I always say it, and that's because I mean it. Boom, done. Let's go ahead and write it, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. See the difference in length here, okay? Yes, I did that on purpose. Look at them up here, okay? If we just did this character, which by the way is a character, it would be more like that, okay? But we're doing it as a compound 2-parter, right? To make desk, so that's why the second stroke there's a little shortened, okay? There you go. Boom, done it. It's good. Desk. Make it big so the people can see it. Boom. Got it. All right, go ahead and throw that in to your rotation, please, because we're moving on to the next vocab, which is isu. Look, if you've got a desk, you've got to have a chair to sit at to do your studying, don't you? And I'm not making these up. This is actually what's in your Mina no Nihongo, if you happen to be following that book that I recommended. This is the vocab from that list. Now, you'll see last class's vocab is highlighted here. Kaban, tape recorder, terebi, radio, camera, computer, jidosha. And today we started with desk. And now we're on to chair. Okay, tsukue, isu. And you'll see here, if you're following along with the vocab, they probably, depending on whose list you're using, they probably wrote it in hiragana. Why is that? I don't know. I think the book probably doesn't write things with kanji for the word chair, for isu. But look, if you're learning the word, you might as well just learn the kanji. All right, it's not that difficult. Look, if you're sitting there going, Valen, I don't want to learn this kanji. The book says I don't have to. Then don't, okay? You sit there, you whip out your baby's first pencil, and you write hiragana just like that, and say, I did it, I wrote chair. You have fun with that. And look, that's up to you. For the rest of you class, we're going to learn how to do this, okay? Now, for the last word we just did, for tsukue, remember it started like this, right? And then we did that. You'll see here for isu, the first character here starts the exact same way. So it's extra practice for both characters. So go ahead and look up the rest of it on Jisho. Oh no. They found me. Isu. There it is. Boom. Click the first one. We got it. Boom. 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 Starts out the same way. Gives you one of those and gives you some of that, okay? You're gonna start seeing pieces of kanji repeat here. We've done these little bits and pieces in other words, okay? So it's not that difficult, all right? Boom, let's go. Just like that, like that. Give it one of those. Oh, that's sloppy. Valen's gonna do what he tells you not to do, which is to redo it, okay? Boom. Then give it one of these and one of those. Got it. Okay? You can slow that down in real time by looking at your own jisho if you need to slow it down, but it's really not that difficult, all right? Look, each individual part. Let's take a little side here to practice this, okay? For this little part here, we've got like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? For this little part here, which actually means big, I think we did go over that. That looks like this, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay? And what are we doing? We're just putting it up here in the corner, right? And then this part here, we've gone over this too. 1, then a little box. Remember how we do the boxes? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then what do we do with this? We just throw it right there in the corner like that, okay? And that's how it's done, okay? Whenever you got these multi-parters, which we have had a lot of up until now, you just break it up into each piece and you do it in the correct stroke order, and then you're done. You got it. Now this one up here, do you remember this? Do you remember when we learned? And remember when we learned that I told you this is actually 2 strokes right there? Even though most people just do it all in one like that. And then there's the 3rd stroke. And that if you looked at this all by itself and had no context, it would most likely be, let me do that a little more clear. Hiragana, ko. Right? This would most likely be ko, which means child. Okay, but that's not what is going on here. It's just the second part of the word chair. And it's pronounced su in this case, right? It's not pronounced ko. So if we go look at that up, click it, you'll see it even says here, child. Sign of the rat. 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. First sign of the Chinese zodiac. This is a bunch of stuff that's going to confuse you. Don't look at this. We don't care about this. We just want to write the kanji. Because remember, we don't memorize kanji. We memorize words. Sometimes words are one kanji. Sometimes they're not. In this case, we're not memorizing ko for child. We're memorizing isu for chair. All right? And if you need a little refresher, 1, 2, 3. It's very easy. There you go. So let's go ahead and write it. 1, 2, 3. Isu. Isu. Chair. All right. Boom. Done it. Got it. Get it out of here. Boom. All right. Take me to Easy Town because I want some chocolate. All right. Very easy to do. How do we say chocolate in Japanese? Well, we just say chocoreto. That's it. It's a Wasei Eigo, all right? The things that we've been going up to for the last episode and up till now. Japanese, well, English loanword into Japanese, right? Stolen from English, taken into Japanese and adopted. And it is one of the very few Wasei Eigo that just means what it sounds like. It just means chocolate. There's no secret. There's no hidden backwards meaning, unlike most other Wasei Eigo. That's just it. And so let's look. You even if you don't need practice writing katakana, you should still write these words in your rotation. Right? We got a little yo here. Be careful. This is little because that's how we get the sound cho. Otherwise, if it was big, if it was this would be chiyo, right? But we're combining them, so we need to make the yo a little to make it cho. Ko re to. Cho ko re to. All right. Little secret. It's not really a secret, but if you just use this part, so if you just erase all this, get rid of it, we just have this, that still means chocolate. I told you Japanese people like to slice words in half and shorten them. So what would they say? They would say choco. That's it. Choco. All right? You looking for your favorite flavor there? It's choco. Boom. Done it. Get it out. So throw that in your rotation and be done with it. Because next up we've got an even easier one. What do you want with your chocolate? You want a nice cup of coffee. Alright, and how do you say coffee in Japanese? You say kohi. Kohi. That's it. Kohi. Kohi. Remember I told you he, ha, he, hu, he, ho, that H column is kind of a mix between F and H. And depending on the word, sometimes it leans more towards one, more towards the other. Okay, in most cases it's more towards the H, but sometimes there's a little bit of an F in there, all right? If that's confusing you, then forget I said it. For the rest of you, you probably remember what I'm saying. So, let's move on. Boom. Next one. Japanese language. And what do we got going on here? Three-parter. We know the first two, at least. I've told you about the third one, but we haven't practiced writing or reading it yet, okay? So the first two is, well, are Japan, right? Nihon. Nihon. Japan. Right? That should be a review. But just in case it's not, we are going to look at it real quick. Nihon. Go. Well, let's just look up Go, because we're going to need it all in a second. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, just like that. Hong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hong. Nihon. Okay. Good, because now we're going to do a very useful one right under the advertisement for AIOCR, only 30,000 yen a month. Okay, for some kind of AI scanning robot. We don't want that. We want this. Click it. Now, it's got a lot of lines here, but they're very easy. Most of them are just horizontal and right in a row. All right, so let's take a look. And before we take a look, as with other characters that have a similar start, I have told you before, if you're doing it in a more calligraphy style, you can take that first one on the top left there and do it more like vertically rather than horizontally. If you're doing more of a computer font style or a more clean cut style of writing, then you can do it just straight horizontal, just like this. Either way is fine. All right, now that I've said that, let's take a look. Top left to bottom right, okay? Top left, bottom right, and then we're going to start again, top left to bottom right for the second part. Okay. There you go. And this is going to look familiar, this part here, if you remember back when we did a different goal for numbers. If the animation went too fast for you, take a look at the chart here on Jisho as you write in your notebook, okay? You can do it slowly like that if you'd like, okay? So we've got our Nihon, Japan. If we throw on, just like this, vertical, and then do the horizontal, horizontal, and another box, okay? If we throw on Go, this now becomes Japanese, and not Japanese as in Japanese person, because what would that be? That would be Nihonjin, remember? It means Japanese, parentheses language. That's why I've written here parentheses language, because in English, you could get confused if we just said Japanese. That could be a Japanese person, or it could be a Japanese language, or it could be Japanese, style or culture, right? In Japanese, it's very specific what they're talking about, okay? You have jin here, or you have go, or you have a word that we haven't learned yet, bunka, which means culture, okay? Or ryori, which means cuisine or food, right? In this case, we're learning Nihongo, Japanese language, okay? So take that and throw it in your rotation. Stick it on in there. Stick it in your rotation and smoke it. Don't smoke it. Next, we've got English language. So we've learned Japanese, and now we've got to do English, okay? Now this one's only 2 characters instead of 3. Let's look it up real quick. Eigo. If you're a native English speaker, you should learn how to say this, because you'll be saying it a lot if you come to Japan. Eigo. Okay, English language. Now, you remember Igirisu? Which means United Kingdom. Look at that. The first character of Igirisu is the same thing, right? Because it's part of let's look it up here. If you just look at it just like this, it's part of both of these words, right? And that can confuse some people, because this basically, it's very rarely used by itself. It's usually attached to something to denote some kind of relation to the English language, or England, or the United Kingdom, or something that came from England or something like that. So yes, it can also denote hero or something like that, but that's very rare. Okay, so Eigo is what we're looking at. We're gonna look at the first one right here. Boom. All right, very simple. Horizontal, 2 verticals. And then do the bottom part. This is something that we haven't seen much of, so you might have to look at this a few times here to get the hang of it. All right. So let's see that in action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and your buddy Valen did this just a little off center there. See, now we can fix that on the computer, and now it's nice and neat. All right. Hey, and we literally just did this one, so I'm not going to show it to you on Jisho again. You can go back and check if you need to. Otherwise, here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, okay? Eigo. English language, okay? Eigo. So throw that into your rotation as well. And what are we gonna look at here? You probably understand what's going on now, but we're just gonna throw this in here. You don't have to necessarily write this in your rotation, but I wanna make the point that whatever you put here and then follow up with goal, it's going to be something language. Remember we had France, which means, you guessed it, France. Now what happens if we do, whoops, what if we do this? Now this becomes not France, this becomes French, as in the language. All right, so you can put anything you want in there. Latingo, Latin. Okay, you can do that if you want. Deutschgo. Remember we learned Deutsch for Germany? Deutschgo is German language, okay? So the point is, you can throw anything before this. Well, almost anything. I mean, you can't put isugo. We just learned the word for chair, right? Do chairs speak? I don't think so. If they do, we certainly can't hear them. And once we start hearing them, I'm sure the Japanese will write the 2 characters here and combine it with go and write isugo. But until that point, that's not one of them, right? It's mostly used with names of countries or names of old languages and stuff, right? Sanskrit. There's all sorts of different ways you can use it. So you don't need to throw it in your rotation, just a little review there. This is also somewhat of a review, and I do suggest you throw it into your rotation now to freshen up on it. Now, we have learned that this by itself can be read as nani, and in that case means what? Or I shouldn't put a question mark there. If there's a question mark here, then there's a question mark here. Without it just means what, right? There's no upward inflection here without a question, right? Let me make that clear. Because whenever you hear this online, it's always that specific soundbite going, nani? Okay, it's not always a question. You don't have to go upward inflection on it, okay? Nani just means what, all right? However, and we have seen some examples of this, it's sometimes, like it's written here, it's not nani, it's na-n, nan. You could put this here, nansai, how old. Nan-yobi, we haven't learned this yet, but this would be day of the week, and this would be what day of the week. You could be asking somebody, nan-yobi, what day of the week? Nangatsu, remember we learned tsuki, moon. Getsuyobi would be Monday, and gatsu would be month. We haven't learned most of those yet, but just as another example, nangatsu, what month? Okay? So there's all sorts of ways you can combine nani to other characters to make one word that means what something. All right? Nanji. Using this guy here. I'll make that a little bigger. Nanji would be asking what time. All right? So you wouldn't say naniji. You would say nanji. Whenever you're combining it with a word, you're saying what something. Okay? All right, so if you need to see the stroke order for this, here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right? The key to this one is you do this part, you start opening this up, then you do the box inside, and then you do that. All right, boom, done it. It's the same stroke order as nani. All right, because it's essentially the same word. You're just pronouncing it different depending on how you want to use it. Okay, boom. And we got just 2 more vocab words, but they're very easy, just in hiragana. Because let's go take a look real quick. So we've done this so far. We're up to this point, soul. And I want to make a note real quick. This is pronounced soul, right? Soul. And the vocab list here says it means so in English, and that's not really the case. This is going to be very confusing. Don't listen to whatever the book or the vocab list says. Just listen to what I'm going to say, because I'm going to explain it in a way that is going to make sense. So we're going to learn two things here. We're going to learn this word first, because it just means yeah. It's used naturally translated as yeah. Okay? I don't care what it literally translates as. I only care what it means in English naturally. All right? This is the difference between amateur translation and professional translation. Okay? So just trust me here. If we just did soul, in most cases, when you're having a conversation with somebody, soul, you're agreeing with something that they said, or you're saying, in other words, yeah. Okay? Not yes, because what is yes? Yes is height. Remember we learned that? There are 2 words in English, just like there are in Japanese. It's not yes, height. It's yeah, soul. In other words, it's slightly more casual, depending on its usage. For now, for the beginner level, yeah, that's what it is, okay? So throw this in your rotation and just think of it like that. So if somebody says to you something that you agree with, you could just simply follow up with soul. And a lot of times you'll hear people say it multiple times, like soul. It's like, yeah. Right? It's something that you pop in a lot to let the other person know that you're listening to them while you're having a conversation, right? So what do we have next? This is an actual phrase here. We're getting down into the part of the vocab where it's got phrases. Why did I skip this one? Chigaimasu. We're going to do that next time. Because so and so desu ka, I think, should be taught at the same time. Okay? And then after that, we don't have much left. So we're almost ready for chapter 2 if you've been holding out for that. But for now, so if you say so desu ka, remember des and desu ka. We've got the is bucket here. We don't always need the wa something des, right? If we just have something des, it still is the is bucket, okay? And this is slightly confusing until you're at a higher level of Japanese, so just go with it for now, okay? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, just trust me. So if we're asking like a real question, like is? Oh yeah? That's what you're saying. So desu ka? Oh yeah? Or it could also just translate it as yeah? Or here's probably where the book and the vocab list thought that it meant literally so. It doesn't. But I can kind of see what they're getting at there, because if you ask this kind of question, you can be saying like, is that so? So desu ka? Is that so? Yeah, it could be translated as that, but so does not literally mean so. It doesn't, okay? So that's why I've introduced both of these in a row, and I think you should throw these into your rotation. The phrase in question, so desu ka, has many different translations because it depends kind of on the context and the person who's saying it, like their speaking style or whatever. So it doesn't steadfastly hardline rule mean oh yeah? Oh yeah? It doesn't mean that only. That's just probably the simplest, most commonly used translation of it, okay? So if you want to throw in your rotation, learn it as that is what I would recommend, okay? Boom. And now we've finished vocab. So what do? We're moving on to today's Wasei Eigo. The fun part. You love it and I love it. Wasei Eigo, as a review, means Japanese style English. So these are loan words. These are the words taken from English and other languages. It's not always Wasei Eigo. Sometimes it's Wasei Fransego, right? Or it could be Japanese style Portuguese. It could be Japanese style German or whatever. To a Japanese person, a lot of the time, even if it's originally from German or French or Latin or something, most people don't know that and they all just assume it's English, which is interesting in and of itself, because if you're a native English speaker, they will talk to you as if you know what they're talking about when they use these words. And a lot of the time, if you're a native English speaker who does not speak Japanese, the confusion comes in when you think that you know what they're talking about, but actually, to the Japanese person, the word does not mean what it means to you as a native speaker. And right off the bat, we've got a word right here to showcase that. We've got ドライブイン。ドライブイン。ドライブイン。So, if you try to turn that into English, what would you get? You'd probably get, if you figured it out, drive-in, right? Sometimes it's hyphened or it's, there's a space in there, whatever. If let's go over to Google. Here we go. Let's write it in English, shall we? Drive-in. What are you gonna get? Oh, look at that. Sure is a lot of movies that you watch from your car. Because guess what? That is what it means in English. Drive-in. Or it could be used as short for drive-in movie theater, right? Not as popular. Well, it became a little bit popular back when we had the virus pandemic. But yeah, usually more old-timey feel, right? So here's the problem. If we type this in Japanese, ドライブイン, what is going to show up here? Well, number one, we don't see any movie theater. Well, we see one here. This is somebody who probably actually knows what it means. All the other ones that we see here are just, well, there's cars. Usually a road or a highway or something. going on there. And we got some movie theaters sprinkled in, but mostly, if whatever's the majority of the photos is usually what people think it is, right? So what the point is here is that drive-in in Japanese does not mean drive-in movie theater. To a Japanese person, oops. What does this mean? It means rest stop, rest area, service area. Okay? So when you hear the word drive in Japanese, they're not talking about a movie theater. They're talking about some kind of rest stop. You know, a trucker stop, rest area, service area. The place that you pull off, usually attached to a highway or something. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be a highway. It could just be a road, you know, a long stretch of road. Where you go and you come in and you get a snack or a drink. You take a bathroom break. Maybe you have to fill up on gas if there's a station there. That's what it is, all right? So, that illustrates what Wasei Eigo is, right? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at some more, all right? Eiru. So you probably don't know what this means in English to start with, because there's a few different things that you could pronounce it as in English, right? I think the first time that I ever looked at this, I thought, are they talking about ale? Like, get yourself a nice, hearty mug of frothy ale there? No, that's not what they mean. What else could they possibly mean? Like, Yell? Yeah, that's what they mean. They mean yell. Okay, which is interesting. I'm actually curious what's going to pop up on Google if we type yell in English. Listen up, Japanese people. This is what we're talking about when we say yell. Okay? You see these? エールって言えば怒鳴る。ね、ちょっと怒ってる感じ。エール。Boom. There's not going to be a good photo for this. They mean like cheering, right? Master J. Shea says, yeah, drive-in exactly. My first thought. Lol. Yes, Master J. Shea, come on in. Take a look at these interesting words. Check this out. They mean cheer. Parentheses ing, because I mean it as like a verb, like you're cheering, right? So they'll call the cheer or cheering like at a sports game, for example. If people are, I don't know, they're saying, let's go Valen, let's go Valen. That would be called an eru, it would be called a yell, which is ridiculous. Japan, come on. It's not what it means. All right, I have to tell Japanese people that the word you're looking for is cheer or cheering. Let's move on. I hate this one. I don't like it. Here's one that everybody on this website should know. Famicom. Famicom. What is the Famicom? I think you know. It is the Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the NES, and sometimes written as Famicom, denoting the Japanese release of the entertainment system. Ladies and gentlemen, the Famicom. And you'll notice the only slight difference we have here from the English alliteration of it and the Japanese is the N and M, because as we have learned from the simple writing of hiragana and katakana, there is no singular M character in Japanese. It must be attached to a vowel. It must be ma, mi, mu, me, or mo, right? Oops. So you'll see here in Japanese, they have used the only N available. The only single consonant is N, and so it's Famicom. And what does it actually mean? It means family computer. Famicom. Remember, Japanese people like to split words in half and smash them together, fuse the atoms of the word together to make a completely new word. So that's what this is. Is it Wasei Eigo? Kind of. Not really. But if you didn't know this, yes, the NES was called Famicom in Japan. It was not called Nintendo Entertainment System. It was not called NES. but they are the same system for all intents and purposes. If you go to like a recycle shop here, recycle shop is like kind of like a thrift store. Recycle shop, Famicom. You'll see that you can find these all over the place here in recycle shops, as well as their games. And you see it says right there, family computer, right? Family computer. Family computer. Nintendo Classic Mini. Nintendo Classic Mini. And the prices here, 1,620 yen is how much? Give or take, 14, 15 bucks. United States dollars, right? Yeah. The only difference in Japanese money, we'll probably do something with the money, a lesson on money, but the only difference with Japanese money is there's no decimal place where we would normally put it in English. So, for example, if we have 100 pennies, we would say $1. So we'd move the decimal place, right? We'd move it 2 places after the 1. In Japanese, you just have a 100 yen coin. So 500 yen coin would be $5. 1,000 yen is a banknote. There is no coin for that as far as I've ever seen. And that would be the first note. There is no like there's no like paper dollar or anything. And that would be like 10 bucks approximately. It depends on the exchange. But Master J. Shea says, Konami did the same thing, I think, combining the names of its founders together to make the name of the company. That sounds oddly familiar. I don't know that I've ever read into that, but you know what? Konami. Let's take a look at the how did the Paralympics show up from that? Excuse me, Google. Did I click the thing? Is that why? Oh God. Here's a good thing to know too. This is a good point to bring up, Master J. Shea. Thank you very much. You can go to Wikipedia in Japanese, of course, and in multiple languages usually, depending on the article. But like, for example, if you went to the Konami Wikipedia page, which is right here, go down here to the word we just learned today, Nihongo, Japanese language, and there it is. It's not always the exact same thing. This isn't like a translated version of the English page. A lot of the time they overlap in similar information, but the Japanese version was written by somebody else a lot of the time. And that goes for most languages, right? Konami. I wonder if that story is in English. Name. The name Konami is a portmanteau of the names of Kagemasa Kozuki and Yoshinobu Nakama and Tatsuo Miyasako. Master J. Shea pulling in the trivia into the vocab here, and you are correct, Master J. Shea. There they are. So that is Famicom plus a little trivia there, brought to you by Master J. Shea, the master of the J and the Shea. Next we've got cunning. What does this mean? Well, there's really only one word I could think of if I looked at it, and that is cunning. Cunning. What do you think this means? Well, it certainly doesn't actually mean cunning, although that is the word that Japanese people think it means. If they were talking to a native English speaker and they said cunning, a lot of the time, if they don't really know English, which is most... I'm not trying to be rude, but most of Japan does not speak English very well. They would think that you understand what they're saying. But what they would not realize is that... Oops. It means cheating. As in on a test, not like on your spouse or something like that. That's a completely different word that we're not going to go over today. It means cheating, on a test. Cunning. Okay, can you kind of see the connection they made there between like a cunning personality, I guess, or a cunning action and cheating on a test? I guess there's some kind of like mental connection you could possibly make there, but they're just completely different words, okay? Cunning. Cunning といえば cheating の方が自然です。cheating まず辞書を見ると cheating ですね。cunning という言葉は悪賢いが狡猾な人悪賢い。Alright. So if you wanted to learn how to actually say cunning in Japanese, it's warugashikoi, or you could use koukatsu is another good way to say it, I think. But there's a bunch of different words depending on the context. So Master J. Shea says, I believe it's 2% of the population that is fluent in English. Been a while since I saw the stats. Yeah, I don't know. I think it really... I don't trust the stats because just like the surveys that they do and the way that they calculate the stats too, Japan is very, very focused on test scores and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, I have been in the position to interview Japanese people for job positions. And sometimes when it's related to international relations, I have to assess their English language ability as well as their, what they know about international relations and translation and that kind of stuff. And in my experience, people that have high scores on the national English language tests and stuff here actually really suck at speaking. And they can't, like even on a basic level, sometimes can't even give self-introductions properly. And then a lot of the times, the people who don't score well on the tests actually have a much better grasp of the language. It's very interesting, but well, Master J. Shea says fair enough. I totally trust that that statistic is probably true. That probably exists, but I think really English language education in Japan is actually an abject failure. It's really, really bad. The longer you're here as a native English speaker, especially if you're a translator like me, you really see how poorly the language is grasped. And I don't say that to be like, oh, Japanese people just suck. They don't. And it's not their fault. It's the education. It's the system. The system of education. I could talk about this for a whole lesson in itself, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. But basically, it's really outdated. It focuses only really on grammar and rote memorization. It gives way too little practice actually using and speaking. It doesn't make use of English native speakers, especially people who have credentials like the ALTs, the assistant language teachers that they bring over here. A lot of them just don't have credentials in actual teaching. Because all you need to get over here on a lot of those programs like JET or whatever is just, a bachelor's degree to get a visa, and that's it, and they'll hire you. But that's a whole other story, yeah. Also, Shay is just fine. Okay, Shay, but I gotta give respect where it's due. If you're a master, then I do enjoy calling you that. So anyway, cunning is cheating on a test, okay? What else we got? Here's a fun one. Karupis. And you'll notice up here, this is Japanese-style English and Sanskrit. Uh-oh. Karupis. Do we know what karupis is? Let's go look it up, shall we? Let's look it up in Japanese for improved accuracy. Karupis. Oh, it's a beverage. A milky-looking beverage. And I'll tell you, as somebody who enjoys karupis, I'll tell you it's good. I enjoy it. Now, this beverage does exist in the United States and, other parts of the Western world, except it's not called karupis. It's not called, in other words, cow piss. What's it called? I'll tell you right now, it's called Calpico in the West. Now, first, let's understand, karu and pis. These two parts of the word are karu, English, and pis taken from salpis in Sanskrit. So calcium and salpis. And salpis in Sanskrit is like one of the types of flavors or something. You gotta go look that up. But anyway, why did we change this to Calpico? Let's look that up real quick. Does Calpico show up? Calpico. Yeah, there it is. There's the drink that you might find in your international section of your supermarket or other place that you go to do shopping. Why did they change it to Calpico in the West? Because cow piss, pronounced naturally and smoothly and fast in English, sounds like cow piss. And nobody wants to drink cow piss. And the company found that out very quickly, and they changed the name to Calpico in the West. Okay? But here in Japan, you could get yourself a nice smooth taste of karupis. Just enjoy it. It's not actually cow piss, of course. It's like a creamy, I don't want to say creamy, it's like It's like a milk-based drink. It's good. It's kind of sweet. Anyway, that is Calpico. What else we got here? Konbini. I think a lot of people know this even if they don't live in Japan. It does show up in anime sometimes as well, right? This is one of those words that's been stolen from English and then shortened, chopped in half. Because what does it mean? It means convenience store. Right? Konbini. They just took this part, sliced it, and said, we don't need this stuff. How do they choose how far to go? It's usually whatever is the easiest in Japanese. So, conveni in English, they have ni in Japanese right here, right? Ni. So that's just an easy place to chop it off. Konbini, convenience store. What do we get? If we type convenience store in English, we're just gonna get, run-of-the-mill stuff. Why is it showing me this? Probably because my IP is in Japan. It's not gonna show me an actual convenience store that I want to look at. 7-Eleven, right? Family Mart, aka Famima. Lawson is another popular convenience store out here. Let's just go ahead and type it in Japanese. Konbini. There you go. And a lot of people don't know this little bit of trivia here. 7-Eleven is actually a Japanese company. It wasn't always a Japanese company. It was bought out and turned into 7&I Holdings. So they actually have other places like a store called Ito Yokado, which is like kind of like a Walmart. It's like a supercenter, but it's run by 7&I Holdings. So a lot of the things that you'll find there, you could find at the convenience store, 7-Eleven convenience store here in Japan. And convenience stores here, konbini, are far superior to those found in the United States, at least in my experience. You're not going to find like a week-old rotating hot dog that looks like a mummified finger. That's not going to be here. They actually do fresh food pretty much every day. They make little meals. Onigiri you can buy there and just pop it open and pop it into your mouth. Gotta love those onigiri. Rice balls, usually with something in the middle as little treats, right? Onigiri. You can find these at konbini. Or you can make it yourself. Alright, that is konbini. Do we have time? We have time for one more. Let's do this one. Sando. What does this mean? Well, what could we possibly imagine it is in English? I guess sand, right? Well, it doesn't mean sand. I can tell you sand in Japanese is suna. What does this actually mean? Sandwich. Jay says, onigiri at konbini. Love it. Onigiri at konbini. In your pepperoni. All right, just to make it a little Twitch certified there. Sando is sandwich. And here's the thing. If you type sando, sandoichi is also Japanese, and that's a better word, but a lot of people will just say sando. And I love the packaging you get that says, in English, sand. Because if you're an actual native English speaker and you look at this, like for example, this New York City sand. Delicious. Sweet sand. Just put it right in my mouth. I love it. Look, Sand House. The name of whoever made this sandwich. Hot Sand Lab. Hot sand. Maple butter sand. Because if you're tired of that same old sand, just put some maple butter on it. Alright, listen up. Sando といえば、砂という意味しかない。ね。だから、メープルバターサンド。メープルバター砂。美味しい。砂美味しいね。違う。砂を食べたくない。だから、サンド、やめてください。サンドじゃなくて、サンドイッチという言葉を使ってください。ありがとうございます。 Alright, just a little side note for you there. For the Japanese people watching, because they need to know these things too, and I do like to tell them. Alright, so this has been your little Wasei Eigo Japanese-style English adventure for today. I do have to skedaddle. I got places I gotta be. Meditation that I have to do before the next episode. I will go into hibernation now, into the wilderness. I will take off my clothes and sit on a rock for the next 2 weeks before the next episode to prepare myself to teach you the rest of Wasei Eigo. So, to all of you who have joined me today, Hoss00312, thank you. Shadveric Fragilities, thank you. Lucif XEV. You're scaring me, Lucifer, because somebody else named Lucif8W7 also followed like 2 weeks ago. What's going on over there? You creating some kind of cabal? Lucif? The Lucifs? And of course, Master J. Shea, who has a master's and therefore will be referred to as the Master. Thank you as well. Hope to see you guys next time. I will throw this up over on YouTube for your viewing pleasure, edited down, condensed, made easier to watch, hopefully. And keep your rotations going. We're getting very close to Chapter 2 now. We are probably going to do one more episode of Wasei Eigo, and then we're going to do Chapter 2, if you're following along with the grammar and the actual Japanese lessons. Look, until then, stay frosty, okay? You have yourself a good one. Take care.